But people don't want to learn it for real, because when you learn it for real, you just can't say it now. Now you have to be put up to the test of actually knowing what you're talking about. And that's not as easy as just talking. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to just talk, but do you know what you're talking? So Divine said, yeah, alchemy is very real. So let me tell you something. If I wanted to turn lead into gold, we'll deal with that, because that's the topic at hand. We want to turn the element lead into the element gold. All right. Well, what we got to first know something. What is lead? Like, what, before we call it lead, what is it? And I'm not just talking about where is it on the periodic table. So what is it? Like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So what you deal with you start with the simplest things you can. What are the properties of lead? You know what I'm saying? How does, if you're looking at it before you go into a lab and find out all the atoms and stuff, what's the properties? Okay, we say it can be dense. Let's say you got a block of lead. That's probably what you imagine anyway. Let's say you got a block of lead. All right, it's like the size of one of them erasers that you had when you was a child. You know what I'm saying? Them block erasers. Okay, them heavy ass erasers. That used to be annoying as hell, because they leave a little smudge and shit after a while. All right, so you got this lead block in your hand. So imagine that. You can visualize that. Put an image to it. So it's dense. We know it's dense. You know, if you put it in some water, it's gonna plop down. All right. You know, if you pour water on it, or put it in some water, or whatever, put it in different chemicals, or expose it to air, right? Things like that. What is it going? It's still gonna do what? It's still gonna be lead. It's still gonna hold its state, right? You said heat up first, ready to take notes. Yeah, you take notes. We already in it. It was affirming. Okay. Whole room phase is on time. I got you. So watch what I'm saying. So it's gonna hold. If you put it in different places of chemistry, it's gonna still be. So you can pour as much water you want on it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be lead if you put it in water. Now I'm not saying that things can't rust, because that's dealing with a process over time. But I'm saying it'll still hold its chemical state. All right, which is called what? That's called chemical stability. You can look that up and take note of that. All right. So we got property. You deal with the properties of lead. Is not a good conductor of electricity. You know what I'm saying? Lead itself, not metal. Okay. You talking about metal is even though you be talking about a type of, like, one of the oldest types, but it's not metal like a fork. You know what I'm saying? Or metal like steel. You're talking about lead. You know what I'm saying? That dull ass element. Okay. So it don't conduct electricity good. All right. Everything I'm saying, it can be taken into account. So that's like pertaining to the chemistry of it alone. All right. But then you get into the physics and the chemical elemental side. You got to merge both of them. And what you'll find is that what? You got to have that understanding already. All right. You learn it and you apply it and say what? When you look at protons, does lead have? Right? It's 82 protons. Lead has 82 protons, which means it has 82 electrons. Okay, so 82, and then you have 124 or 126 neutrons. All right, depending on the state. That will be the also another frequency that's holding it together to make it look like what you're looking at. You understand? Whatever frequency is vibrating on. So you have 82 protons, 82 electrons. So you go to AU it's AU on the periodic table, which will be gold. Okay, and how many protons does gold have? 79 protons. Which means 79 electrons, which means if you go and look into it, you'll be able to see there are those, most of the time when you're dealing with it, they have the same protons and electrons. Okay. But gold has 118 neutrons. Okay. So let's write it let me get something right. I'm gonna use my notepad. Hold on. Okay. So let's do the math. If I have 82, let's say 82 protons is lead, 82, so that's 82 protons, 82 electrons, stay with me, and you have 124 or 126, so let's say 126 neutrons, okay, because that's just depending on the state of it. And then, so let's say we subtract 82, or subtract the 79 that I was saying of the gold from 82. So real quick, let's do that. I don't feel like doing the math. I go into the calculator. 182 subtract 79. All right, so we got 3. I know that was lazy. That's fine. I'm cool with that. So we got 3 protons and 3 electrons that will have to be removed or taken out of this conglomerate, or this configuration of electrons, protons, and neutrons, which is giving you the atom. Okay, or giving you what makes up the element itself of lead. Okay, so we take out 3 of the protons, we take out 3 of the electrons, And then you have 126 neutrons, which means what? We do 126 by how many did I say with gold? 118. 126 subtract 118 equals 8. So you take out 8 neutrons. Okay? I hope I'm not losing anybody. So I'm not just coming out with this because it sounds good. Oh yeah, all you gotta do is subtract. It's not that simple, but it's simple enough that you're on your way to figuring out how it works. So then what is that? What is that called? It's physics. So what's the physics part of it? All right. That's when you have to figure out, how do we turn lead to gold? How do we transform or transmutate that lead into gold? It's not going to be something that you just do in your mind. All right. You have to strike the atoms. All right. Some of the protons, electrons, and neutrons of the lead, they have to be broken off, and then you take them and you separate them, you isolate them, and then it becomes the newer element, which I was telling you earlier, that you can create new substances or new things once you figure out those sciences. And that was dealing with chemistry. So that's why I told you have to understand both of it, chemistry and physics, in order to be an alchemist, because you have to do something called nuclear transmutation. Take note of what the word I just said, or the phrase I just said. Nuclear transmutation. Okay? Take nuclear transmutation. Write it down. And it means to change the state of something. If I got a chemical element, I can shift it into make it into another. Okay? So now let's deal with it. Once we transmutate the lead, take out those atoms, take out those protons, electrons, and those neutrons necessary to leave us with the gold, then what you just did was you turned lead into gold. So did it take a philosopher's stone? Not unless you're saying that philosophy or that stone itself was the missing gem or the piece of information that they just didn't have. So were they alchemists? No. Were they aspiring alchemists? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But they weren't really alchemists because they didn't have the study overstood. So now scientists of today are more spiritual than spiritual people. They're more religious than spiritual people. They put the theory word there. And they're more into the alchemy than the ones who claim to be alchemists because they understand the science of it. So then what happens is you understand your biology or your technological advances that allow advances that allow for them to be able to change it. Okay. So then what do? You go through the schools, you learn, you study to become a physicist, you study to become a nuclear physicist, whatever you have to study to make sure that you find out where this machine would be that you could make these type of incisions and then take this out and take that out. So now you're becoming an alchemist. So it sounds a lot different than you got to go through the rite of passage. Your spirit got to be in the right place. Because somebody was saying that in one of the rooms. They said your spirit got to be in the right place. I said, I don't know why you thought the spirit. What place was their spirit in when they made the bombs that blew up Hiroshima and Nagasaki? They were good people. They were great spiritual people. No, don't confuse yourself. Because like I told you, the same way with the consciousness of the computer, anybody who knows the sciences, they can use it. Don't confuse yourself. Anybody who knows the sciences, they can use it. They can turn lead into gold. They can do everything you thought you was trying to figure out. They can astral project. They can remote view. They can become invisible. They can go see God. They can travel in the chariots of fire. You know what I'm saying? They can create the weapons of mass destruction, whatever they want to do. They don't have to be good people to be able to do it. So it's not like that. The same schools, you learn alchemy when you study physics and chemistry. You understand? So if you want to know what type of, now I'm not telling you to disregard what the ancient ones have been presented to be saying, but you got to go deeper because the scientists are using their studies. They understand it more than people that are claiming to understand it. You understand? So do take note of nuclear transmutation because remember I told you technology can do it, but what else can do it? I'm not going to tell you nobody's mind is powerful enough to do it. But what are you doing? Before you do anything, what are you doing? You have to know what you're doing first. You get what I'm saying? So if your mind is powerful enough, right, or is operating on that frequency, you don't just look at the lead and say, be gold. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to know what needs to move because you'll be dealing with some sort of form of telekinesis at that point, right, which is changing through thought how something is positioned in the realm. So you will be moving atoms around. Now, somebody might be bad like that. Somebody might be fire as hell like that. I'm not going to say that that's impossible. I'm just saying that if they don't know what they're doing, they ain't going to be able to do nothing. They're going to be sitting there, the shit might move, but what atom do you, because if you take out more than what's necessary, then you're creating something else and it'll fail. Anybody ever saw the shows where they doing the science and then they say they got to be real careful and they'll start pouring something into the beaker And then after they pour it into the beaker, the nigga cough or sneeze and blow the whole lab up, and his hair be standing up and shit because he wasn't careful. That's what I'm saying. Like, all of you who are woke people, you got to be careful, full of care in this day and time, because these sciences are very particular and they're very necessary for where we're supposed to be going. So you got to know what you're talking about. You get what I'm saying? So if I say, nigga, all right, real carefully, take out 3 protons. Okay, I got you. 3 protons. Take out 3 protons. All right, take out 3 neutrons. All right, or what do we say? 3 electrons. See, I'm already about to blow some shit up. You know what I'm saying? Take out three, you know what I'm saying? Electrons. Okay, I got you. 3 electrons. All right, now take out 7 neutrons. Motherfucker wind up taking out 8 or 9 neutrons. And what'll happen is, again, it'll be a mistake. A mistake. You didn't listen to the information, or you didn't know what you were doing, or you did it incorrectly. And sometimes that's fatal. I'm talking about in the grand scheme where things happen and there's something that's thrown out of order or out of balance, or you put this wrong thing. Let's say you like with the nuclear fission. You know what I'm saying? Now that's a mistake that they make on purpose. But you see what happens when shit clash together, they supposed to clash together, is chaotic. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're saying. So alchemy, again, is one of these sciences that have just been shriveled down to a science of the mind, but it isn't, okay? It's really talking about dealing with chemistry, reactions of things in the realm, and then you deal with the physics of figuring out how these things operate with time and light and all this other stuff. All of that has to be understood, okay? With the same philosophy applied to humans, meaning, example, if you move a person, is that what you call alchemy? There we go. Actually, that's so divine that you say that, because that's exactly what I was about to get into. Okay? So there we go. So remember, I was saying to you earlier, I don't know if you just got in here, but I was saying to you that human beings are an element. Okay? You as a human being, you're an element as well. And you move with a different resonance, a different frequency. That's why I was telling you about why the gold necklace and the ring was so important to Rumpelstiltskin, and why it led up to the child, which was as most importance, because it's literally a replica of another human being that holds the same frequency he was already dealing with. Okay, that's why I tell people, be cautious, man. If you don't know what you're dealing, if you don't know what you're dealing with, sit down somewhere. You better off dealing with Jesus than jumping out talking about you finna play with the Orisha or play with the jinns because you think it sound good because you heard somebody say on one of these YouTube videos that they here to serve you. All right? If you don't know what you're doing, I know a lot of people that lost themselves to the dark side. What they showed you in the Doctor Strange movie, they showed you what? That when you open up darkness, all right, or open up a realm of the unknown is what I'm saying, especially. You open up the realm of the unknown and you don't know what you're doing and you don't understand everything that's working and you haven't gone through the certain initiations that can show you brick by brick how it works. It can overcome you, understand, and conquer you. And that means that you have opened up a door that allows for people to use you to do what they need to do, not the other way around. I don't know why human beings think they so fine that you're going to deal with beings who've been here for some of them millions of years, trillions of years, and they just mean like, oh, I'm new. Yeah, tell me what to do. I don't know what else to do. I'm only here to serve humans. Come on now. That's why most people that be going to the dark side, they'll meet me and they think that they're working for good. And I'll be like, yo, you standing on the wrong side. I mean, but you can do what you want to do, but we ain't standing on that side. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know better because they done consumed you. And I can hear it in people's voice sometimes like, damn, okay, they got them. And they can't hear the wisdom. They can't see the light. So to answer your question, when you're dealing with people as an element, I'll tell you like this. Like, as I'm going to walk you through it. I was introduced to it around 12 years old. You start looking at other things, how the chemistry works. You as a human being are an element, so it is chemistry in you. When you meet somebody, don't you say, I have chemistry. We have some sort of chemistry. And you're made out of the different stars, so your celestial body. I was explaining in one of these other rooms that people orbit in your life. You know what I'm saying? You might meet somebody, they got the same name. You know what I'm saying? You met a person named Tyrone, it didn't work out with Tyrone. You know what I'm saying? So 10 years later, you meet another Tyrone. And you distrust it off rip because it was a bad experience. And then you go beyond what you're feeling, and you see that you still having to feeling the same resonance. You ignore what you call a red flag, which is literally meaning a high alert frequency in the realm. And you went forward with it, and then Tyrone do the same thing. He just took another form of a different body, and it was orbiting in the same type of way in your realm as a conscious being. And it shows up again. You understand? Or how many people you met a person, and they got the same type of laughter or the same type of habit, and you like, man, you remind me, you put this mind of mine back into the light or ray or ra or somewhere else. And you're taken back to another point in this realm, which is you call time, in your past, which you travel back to another coordinate and you're able to see it again. You're orbiting in this realm as celestial bodies terrestrially. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so when you're dealing with people, like I told you, it's best to know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with them. So if you haven't done it already, this is what I encourage people to do. Take note of what I'm about to say. Study names. Like, go and study names. Not just every time you meet somebody, go look it up. Like, it needs to be that as soon as you hear a name, okay, you done study so many names that you know what these names are tied to, what type of you do your own research, what types of people done had these names before. Like I tell you, most of your leaders, they came up under warrior energy. How do you know they came up under warrior energy? Because it was in their name. All right. You had Martin Luther King, M-A-R. Okay. You had Marcus Garvey. You had Tupac Amaru Shakur. And now you have Omari. You know what I'm saying? Then you have Kanye Omari West. It's right there. War, Mar. Okay. Then you have Muhammad Ali. Well, what's about Muhammad Ali? It's not Mar. What is his middle name? Got you. Marcellus. Mar. So that's the Mars being. So when it comes to Mar, anytime you meet somebody with the name Mar, you got to know they're a warrior. You understand? This is how alchemy works. I'm showing you another side of alchemy that I was introduced to from 12 years old. And it starts to show you how your world is working. I meet somebody, whatever name they coming up under, I research it immediately. And if it don't have a meaning, I look at their intentions and everything as fast as I can. And I don't ignore the red flags to the best of my ability because, you know, we still people. And sometimes we want to see the best in all people and bless our heart. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I'm dealing with, I say the name is, let's say, for example, dealing with somebody named Sasha. It means defender of mankind. Okay. So she may not agree with everything that I'm doing. Why? Because I'm not necessarily a defender of mankind. I am a rectifier of mankind. I'm here to edify and correct, not defend them. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm defending mankind, then I'm going to be agreeing with most of the things that mankind got going on just to protect them and say, well, I know they're going wrong, but look, this in their defense, it's a difference. You can rectify somebody without having to always defend them. So that person that I really was, you know what I'm saying, I named that name, I really had dealings with, that it was really like that. And I learned it through frequency that it's true. Yeah, she really is a defender of mankind. That she gets offended when I start talking about what we need to do better, because most of the things I'm speaking on, she's either a part of, or she's doing it, or she knows people that's doing it. And instead of seeing that it's supposed to be corrected, she takes offense to it because she wants to defend them. You understand? So when I hear Sasha Fierce, okay, and I see she come up under the Baphomet emblem with the goat, I already know what type of time is she on immediately. She's Sasha Fierce. She's defending mankind in a fierce way. You understand? So it's like it's fire and defense of mankind. You see Fierce with the fire that she came up under with the goat emblem as a motorcycle, and it had flames on it. Oh, okay, I see now. You know what I'm saying? Then you switch it up, and it's like depending. Even when Sean Carter comes out, I say, "Fuck all that does, Sean Carter, nigga, Hove." I'm like, oh, he's breaking down the sciences. He's telling people to go back to the sciences. That's Jesus, Hove, Jehovah. All right. JHVH, Tetragrammaton, 444, all the resonators of the Messiah energy. I hear it as soon as they say it. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear people's name, I know, okay, this name is holding a frequency in my realm that tells me that this type of person will have this type of tendencies. Does that mean to judge somebody by their name? It doesn't mean that. It just means that this is a part of alchemy. So watch what I'm saying to you. Watch this. I was 12 years old, went over to see my pops, my dad. He didn't actually raise me, meaning he wasn't there physically all the time. But we had the connection, a relationship that was like when you have the guys in the movies that talk to their son.